kind of stuck because I know they redid the whole competitive thing in Overwatch 2, and like I got
Yeah.
put in Masters, and then they did the reset in Season 9, and they put me in Diamond, and I've kind of
Mm.
just fallen back down to Plat. Maybe I was punching above my weight a little bit more, but I'd like to try to get back there at least.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Sounds good. So you placed on Masters, trying to get back to where you were. Now, break me down. How long have you been playing Overwatch overall?
I've been playing Overwatch overall since 2017. I played
Mm-hmm.
comp in Overwatch 1 here and there, but I never really had a group of people to do it with or anything like that, and I didn't really feel comfortable solo queuing.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Um, when you put the emphasis, I'm looking at your form here, put the emphasis more on ranked. Why?
Just I feel like it's more rewarding than quick play. You learn how to play the game better. There's certain things people do in comp that they don't do in quick play. There's
Mm-hmm.
more strategy involved, that sort of thing.
Of course. Of course. And how has that, I guess, emphasis on ranked been for you? You've enjoyed that
Uh,
process?
yeah, I think like I've been trying to do certain things that you don't do in quick play that other people don't try to do because I think in quick play people are trying to either learn new heroes or they're just messing around for the most part.
And you're a tank player primarily, yeah?
Yes.
Okay, has that always been the case?
Yeah, I play support, but not in competitive, and I just play DPS for fun when I feel like it, but I only play tank in competitive for the most part.
Okay, sounds good. So, what do you hope to get out of the session? Your form says hoping to find a way to minimize mistakes and not get tunnel visioned on the tank when going after other targets. Also, hoping to find a way to improve on my main diva and dive and improve in poke and brawl scenarios as well. Does that about sum it up, or would you add or change any of that?
Uh, Sounds about right. These codes here, I don't have any diva play
That's fine.
because I did have one replay where I was facing heavy beam damage from like Zarius and Metro, but it got wiped out when they did that hotfix patch, and
Mm-hmm.
then in these games, I was playing the quote unquote main tank heroes like Ryan and Winston, ones I don't play too often, and I did better than I expected. And I was wondering
Sure.
what I did right, what I did wrong, that sort of thing. Because
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, if you were to pick your two or three favorites, regardless of your skill level of those characters, what would you pick? I assume Diva's one of them.
yeah, Diva's my main. I've been a Diva main like since I started playing the game, and I was
Mm-hmm.
basically one tricking her last season when she was kind of overpowered.
Yeah.
And then like teams would run a Zarya to try to counter me. Sometimes I can play around it and still be good, but then
Mm-hmm.
sometimes they'd go Zarya, Mei, Sim, and I'd try to like play around that, and it wouldn't work.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Definitely depends on the map too. Like I'd say there's probably a good third of maps where that's just not going to feel very good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So what would be your second choice or third choice then?
I've been trying to learn Winston because I like to play dive heroes, and I
Yeah.
know he's got a different style of play than Diva. I know like
Mm-hmm.
main tanks and off tanks aren't really a thing anymore, but I know like Winston was classified as like that sort of main tank makes more space sort of thing.
Yeah. 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 Okay. Okay. Well, who else besides Winston?
Like to run Ryan because, like I said, I know brawl comps are really popular, and I've never been really good at playing brawl.
Okay. Yeah. Fair enough. Do you enjoy Ryan? Like kind of a dumb question, but
Uh, Learning to enjoy it. Like I've
okay.
been, like I said, I've been playing dive tanks mostly.
Yeah.
Played a lot of Sigma too, but I feel like my Sigma play is fine, so I feel like that's not something that really I need to have looked at.
Yeah, yeah. I'm touching on this so much because I think when we talk about like your goals here and some of the things that you've talked to me about, like goals of hitting masters, goals of maintaining masters, goals to maintain Diamond 3, Diamond 2, at least in the short term here. Long term, the best thing that you could possibly do for your improvement is develop a consistent training schedule, right? But the second
Yes.
most important thing is have a consistent training schedule that revolves around a few heroes, right? And
Yeah.
the danger that you have as a tank player, especially in Overwatch 2, is playing a little Russian roulette with it, right? The problem is
Absolutely.
there's 5 bullets and only one empty chamber. So what a lot of time you're going to be spending a lot of time wasting the game, wasting your time rather than actually improving, and that's kind of what I want to avoid here. So if you were to tell me I really like Diva, I really like Winston and I like learning Winston, and I'd like to try to learn Ryan to see if I like him, I'm all on board with that. But I don't want to see Sigma. I don't want to see Zarya. I don't want to see Hog. I don't want to see not even a little bit, right? And then if you go 3 weeks from now, 4 weeks from now, next season, and Ryan just isn't cutting it, right? He's just, you don't enjoy playing him, whatever. And you dump him and you pick back up Sigma or something like that. I'm okay with that too. Like, it's not that you have to lock it in. You just have to have some sort of periodization where you're working on different segments, different heroes per section, so that you're actually getting the hours and you need to improve at the mechanics of those characters. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I think like having Diva, Ryan, Winston, I mean, that's a great hero pool. I mean, there's going to be a lot of situations where like there's basically not going to be a map or a situation where one of those characters isn't at least decent, right? Is it going to be optimal? No. But the problem with swapping to the optimal tank in those circumstances is you're not going to be able to play it optimally because you don't have reps on that character. You get what I'm saying?
And the other thing is, I've heard you and like other content creators say, try not to have too many heroes in your hero pool.
Well, that's it. That's it,
the problem
exactly.
With the tank role is everyone just counter swaps.
Well, that's it, and that's why everybody. But the thing is if everybody counter swaps, but then if I find counter swapping, in fact, they actually talked about this. I believe the developers counter swapping is actually more popular in Plat than it is in Diamond or Masters.
That's where I slid down to is
right. So the thing is like if counter swapping was really good, you would see it more in higher ranks. Right, you would see it a lot more in higher ranks, but you don't, right? You do see some swaps, like, right? I wouldn't force, like, let's say, Winston on Circuit Royale into Reaper Bastion, Roadhog.
No.
There's just not enough verticality there to like let you play, right? And so, I'm not going to swap off of Reinhardt into that, even if Reinhardt feels tough, because Reinhardt feels tough, but he's valuable versus that. He's not going to kill everybody, but he's going to absorb a lot of attention, high value ultimate in that composition, a lot of blocking on all the effective cooldowns. Like, there's a lot of value to be found there. So you play like Ryan or you play like Sigma or something like that, and most people would go, well, that doesn't feel good. I'm going to swap to something that feels more fun, and then they'd end up losing the game. So the idea here is I want you to stick with a hero pool just so that you can understand how to counter play, not just counter pick. And also
keeping small, pretty much.
Yeah, exactly. And also so that you could actually develop like some sort of game sense around the characters that you're playing. Because everyone talks about like the mechanics. You need the mechanics. That's true, right? You need to get good at landing with Winston, zapping with Winston, alternate fire strikes, Diva micro missiles, and Diva close range tracking, and knowing how, right? But a lot of it is also a lot of things positioned differently too. Right? Like, how do you position as a Diva versus as a Winston, right? They sound similar, but they're actually very different in how they position and how they rotate. Winston's a lot faster. Winston has a lot more speed. Diva's much slower, right? So if you only play Diva, you're not going to be able to pick up Winston and be like, oh, I know how to position with Winston because I know how to position with Diva. No, you don't. No, you don't. So
I
need
the difference.
Right. You need reps on everything with a character, right? It takes a lot of hours, and if you're swapping around and counter swapping and not trying to push your limits, you're not really going to learn the character. So it's not that counter swapping is useless. It's just overrated in terms of the results, and it's also can be a little bit overrated in terms of the fun. So for you, I think just finding a hero pool for, I would aim from anywhere from 3 to 5 weeks. 3 to 5 weeks. If you play something for 3 to 5 weeks and you go, I really don't like Reinhardt. I find myself avoiding playing Reinhardt. Okay, then dump him and replace him with something else, right? And you could pick again whatever you want. Here, I can't believe I'm saying this, but you could replace him with Roadhog. Like, let's say you really like Roadhog, you could replace him with Roadhog. It doesn't matter what you play. Zarya, Sigma, Ram, doesn't matter. It's up to you. Your choice.
Yeah, like I said, I think it's mostly I played a lot of the quote unquote off tank heroes and like.
Yep.
Also, like you said, seeing all the counter swapping in Plat, I see it like in every game.
Yeah.
As the tank player, either the tank or the DPS, like some kind of.
I mean, you will see it, and the thing is that the reason why it doesn't work as well is not only do they swap. There's 3 reasons why. Okay, so this is important to know. Number one, people don't understand what to swap to most of the time, depending on the enemy backline and DPS line. So if you go Rhine, they'll go Bastion, they'll go Mei. But the problem is that you're running an Ana Zenyatta. And Bastion is really bad versus those characters. So they'll counter swap you, but expose themselves to heroes that you're playing. right? They'll go bash Mei, but you're on Ana Zenfara. You kind of get what I'm saying? Not good
Yeah,
for
so
them.
they'll
Not
try
good at
to
all.
put everything they have into stopping me.
Right, but so the question is why
push.
do they swap you? And that comes to my second point. Everybody looks at the tank because the tank big, easy, very accessible, right? Now that is difficult, and that is a bit of a consequence of the 5v5 format, but that is a responsibility that you're going to have to carry, but you will win games if you're aware of that. You'll win a lot of games. You might not be able to always kill 6 every single fight, right? But you're going to be able to absorb a lot of attention and abuse that foolishness. Basically, you're abusing the lack of IQ. It's the harsh, but it's the true way of saying it. The lack of IQ, the lack of problem solving, the lack of recognition, you will abuse that. The other thing to keep in mind as well, and this is the third thing, is they will not pay attention to the map whatsoever in terms of counter swapping. How many times have you gone Winston or Diva on a map like Gibraltar, Dorado, and they go Bastion? Or they go Reaper,
more than once, yeah.
or Mei, or Sem, right? Terrible maps for those characters. Way too much verticality. You got long sight lines, but they don't know that. They don't think about that. They only think the first step. They don't think the second or third step. And so they're going to get counter swapped by your backline potentially, but they're also going to get counter swapped by the map. Now, all that being said, the reason why counter swapping is popular is because a lot of times the counter swapping means that you end up playing a hero that feels better, even if it isn't better. Orisa versus Rein, great example. Orisa versus Rein nowadays, I think is a much more neutral matchup than it used to be in terms of like actual value. But the problem is that with Orisa, you get to keep shooting your gun. With Rein, you might be holding your shield. That's how you're counterplaying the Orisa, right? Or situationally pinning when she doesn't have 4 to 5. Basically, the idea is that it feels more fun for an Orisa or for a Roadhog who can just heal himself. It doesn't matter how much ult charge he's feeding. It doesn't matter how many hooks he's missing. He's having fun. He's getting the dopamine of hitting shots, and he's not dying, right? So it feels good, but it might not be very effective. So all that being said, find a hero pool, 3 to 5 weeks, evaluate the hero pool, counterpick within your hero pool if you'd like, play what's strong on the map, play what's strong in the situation, but focus more on your counterplay. Sound good?
Yes.
Okay. Most important thing we'll probably talk about today. I feel like I have teammates who don't communicate out of my control, and sometimes I get tunnel visioned or trying to do too much when my team is struggling. Talk to me about that. That's a great point.
So, one thing I've noticed in it was Plat and Diamond is there's not a lot of people who go into voice chat and there's no comms. So sometimes if people aren't calming and even if you ping people, they still don't pick up on it. Sometimes I'm like, all right, if nobody's going to do something, I'll try to do it. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But it's frustrating because if you end up doing the wrong thing, the one thing people love to do is flame the tank.
Well, you're the most visible, right? So
yes.
Here's the thing. This is the ranked mentality, and it's not just an Overwatch mentality. It's not just an Overwatch 2 mentality. It's any game that you'll ever play competitively, period. Your job is that you are working with children, okay? You're working with children. They don't understand. They don't know better. And they're going to place blame. They're going to bicker, they're going to infight, they're going to self-destruct. If you try to compensate and try to carry them through this, that could work in a situation if you were working with them over a period of time. But you don't. You have 15 minutes. Good luck.
Yeah.
So the best thing that you can do is to take what responsibility that you can reasonably manage, which is playing the best that you can, doing what your character does, demanding resources and getting value out of those resources, or not demanding resources, not demanding so much that your teammates can't make their own plays, right? Being efficient with what you get, okay? And do the best that you possibly can, but do what your character does best and don't worry about the rest. Let me give you an example. Winston, you got a Roadhog on the front line, and he just keeps hooking your team over and over and over and over again. A lot of people out there, a lot of, even guides, I've seen YouTube guys on this, like, you need to assess the situation and deal with the threat. No. That is made by people that don't know how to coach the game and don't know how to play the game, okay? Because if you try to deal with that situation as a Winston, what is that going to look like?
Not good.
Not good, right? It's not a matchup that you're very favored in. It's not an efficient use of your resources. You're going to walk on main. You're going to zap the Roadhog. You're going to bubble the Roadhog. In fact, you probably won't even die to the Roadhog, right? And your teammates won't get hooked. But what are you going to die to now?
Their DPS can make
Their
the play.
DPS,
Everyone's
right.
just focusing the hog.
Everybody's focusing the hog, and the hog is not under any threat because Winston versus Roadhog, it's just not efficient, right? He can take infinitely more resources. So you look at the problem and go, this is why we're losing. And you know what? You might be right, but you can't deal with that problem. It's the equivalent of like, hey, I need to build a fence in my backyard. We got a bunch of nails that we need to hammer in, and you come over there with a screwdriver. You could beat on that nail, and you will knock the nail onto the fence, but you're going to spend 6 hours doing so. So instead, take that screwdriver and go fix the door, or go do something that your tool fits. If you're saying, oh, but we have to build a fence, well, sorry, I don't have the tool for that. And the thing is if you go for backline, maybe the Roadhog chases you. Maybe the Roadhog gets resources split off and doesn't get healing, doesn't get DPS follow-up. Maybe once he misses a hook and actually dies for it because he doesn't have follow-up. Maybe you kill his backline in the same way that he's killing yours. You get what I'm saying?
At that point, it just evens out.
Right, at that point it evens out. Now, it's not never as easy as that. And there will be games where your backline just sucks. That's how it goes, right? That's how it goes. But overarching, you have to provide value where you provide value. Now, if you look at that situation, you go, I can play a tank that functions very well in that situation. Like, let's say Diva, Ryan. Maybe you could play Reinhardt there, right? Stop him from getting the hooks, get some swings on him between his hook cooldown. If that's a hero in your pool and you want to play Ryan into that, that's fine. Totally fine. But you have to ask yourself, do I have that tool? Don't go swap Sigma versus that. You understand? Don't do that.
Yeah.
Play what you can do and do what you can do best. And so the problem with your mindset here is it's a good, healthy mindset when you're working with good, healthy people, like outside of Overwatch, right? Like in real life, like when you're actually working with. But the problem is that you don't have the time to make those reads and build that relationship and talk with your team. You just have to provide as much value as you can while demanding as few resources as you can and hope that your team is able to follow up. And if they don't, go next. Because if you try to compensate, you're going to end up being a burden to your team. And that's the irony. And I see this all the time. Does that make sense?
So, like you said, it's a 15-minute match. You're probably going to never play with these people ever again. And
Yes. The thing is they don't know it, but they need you to avoid the Roadhog. If you're going to win that game, you're going to do it by avoiding the Roadhog. Unless you're on Ryan or Sigma or Rissa or whatever else, right? But they need you to provide value. They're going to complain and gripe at you for not solving what they perceive as the problem. But I cannot tell you how many times that I've won or worked with people that have won games in that situation when they ignored their teammates, did what they knew that they could do best, and oh, look at that, we won. Oh, well, look at that. Who knows, right? They might still flame you. That's the hilarious part, but they don't even know. So you got to have a little bit of that mental fortitude there, and you really only deal with the problem that they're complaining about if it's in your toolbox. If it's in your toolbox, do it, right? Help them out. But if it's not, you can't. That's all there is to it. If nobody else tries to fix the problem, I have to, and see that's the trap. That's the mindset, right? It's the same reason why I'll see like Mercy players will sit on their tank, like their Roadhog. Oh, but he needs healing. It's because you're not damage boosting the DPS on the flank, buddy, right? You're not doing what your character does best. So then you are going to see the problem, right? Sometimes I get really annoyed when I lose a couple of games in a row, and playing Tilted probably doesn't help. And honestly, if you're trying to go out of your way to help people and fix problems, and they're not being grateful or thankful, that would make me mad too. That would make me mad too.
I feel like the tank role in general is a pretty thankless role.
It is.
It's rewarding when you do it right, though.
Right.
And that's why I play the role.
It is. It's the high highs and the low lows. So the best thing you could do is set expectations on yourself to perform as best as you possibly can, and then set your expectations for everybody around you to be a lot lower. And if you want the dream Overwatch experience, right, go find a team to scrimmage with or find some friends to stack with occasionally. That's the Overwatch experience. So that's just the team game experience. Reality of it is. So that's my encouragement for you. And if it makes you feel any better, the best thing I can tell you is that I was also a tank player at your rank when I climbed from plat, from gold to diamond. And I was also a big team player, right? Really, really upset me. When I was silver and gold before I got coaching, this was back in 2017, I was hard comm, hard shot call, and then I'd get a Torb 1 trick, right?
Yep.
And it really frustrated me. It really upset me until I put very little expectations on my team, more expectations on myself, played the best I can, didn't worry about it, and re-queued. I actually started to have a lot more fun. It still was a team game. I still was contributing the best that I possibly could, but I started to have a lot more fun because there was a lot less pressure on myself to have to be like this diplomat and negotiator and recognize the problems on the map. Just do my job the best I can, go clock out, go home, do it again,
Let them do their jobs, you do your job.
You have to see that's the team play aspect. You actually have to trust your teammates to do their jobs. They may not do their jobs, but you have to trust them to do their jobs. If you try to compensate, you're going to end up not doing your job. That's the real danger. So the team play aspect
really tempting because you go, maybe if I step up a little more, I can like bail the team out, but it's kind of a double-edged sword because you're taken away from something else.
The problem is not the mindset of necessarily stepping up and performing your best. The problem is that when you step up and perform your best and then try to do things that you're not good at, right? It'd be like, again, going back to that fence analogy, right? Like you're building the fence, you've got this crazy nail gun, you're popping off, but then, oh no, we're getting hungry and the foods for the lunch for all the workmen isn't coming. And you're like, maybe I should pause nail gunning and go inside and help with. No, you'll just get in the way. Trust them to take care of the food. You keep that nail gun active. You get what I'm saying? Because if you pause the nail gun, well, then now that's the job that we need you for, and it's not going. So don't go peel your back line necessarily, or don't go dive their front line, or just do what your thing does best, whatever your character does best, and we obviously have to kind of talk about what that is, but I guess we'll get to that in just a moment. So any questions?
So far so good.
Okay, so that's my recommendation. Now you're playing around an hour and a half a day, 2 hours a day, around 4 to 6 days per week. I like that schedule. How does that schedule usually go in terms of ranked, quick play? Do you warm up? I mean, playing tanks, so maybe less of a need for that, but I'm just curious.
I would warm up with a game of quick play, but I figured sometimes it's better to just hop right into ranked.
Sure. What you might do is just do a mechanics warm up. Are you familiar with Vaxta?
Yes.
You could do, like, if you were to, you could jump into Vaxta and just focus on, like, shooting heads, right, as D.Va for, like, literally 2 minutes, 3 minutes, right? Or you could do Winston and practice landing, they're getting the melee combo, landing directly on targets, like getting that full splash damage. Or, it sounds as dumb as it is, swing fire strike combos. Just go around, swing fire strike, hit your pins. Basically, you just want to be alert, a little bit more alert. And I think that could be from anywhere from 2 to 5 minutes. If I could optimize that, exactly.
Get the mechanics going.
Exactly. It's not even really going to improve your mechanics. It's not like aim training for tank necessarily. It's more about, hey, wake up. Just like any sort of exercise, right? Mental exercise or physical. Just wake yourself up. And I think that would probably be even better than quick play. That way that you're getting more rapid exposure and you don't have to sit in a queue for 7 hours, right? So you just go, bam, 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 and then you're good to go. That might be okay.
Sometimes quick play, it's the Wild West, so you don't know what's going to happen anyway.
I mean, it's probably better than nothing, but it's still, like I said, it may not be the best. Now, for you as well, are you taking breaks between games?
I don't, because I usually play before I go to my real job, and I want to get as many games in as possible.
Understandable. I recommend taking the break that the queue provides you. 30 seconds, get up from your computer quickly. Stretch your legs, grab some water, sit back down again. Refresh your brain. Really good after a really good game. Really good after a really bad game. Allow yourself to just
reset the brain, sort of.
Let it reset. You can even think through the previous game. What went wrong? What went well? Let your emotions process, good or bad. Go back in. Go apply yourself again. Highly, highly, highly recommend it. Even if it's just for 30 seconds, because we know how tank queues are sometimes. So
yeah, they're usually instant.
Okay, that's what I'd recommend. All right. Even if you're only playing for an hour to have 2 hours. So, okay. Any last questions here?
You mentioned, like, doing that just reset. Like, if you come off a really bad game, sometimes I feel like it's really hard to, like, forget about that performance sometimes.
Well, you don't need to forget about it, I think, is the key thing, right? I think what he would do is he'd sit there and think about it. But you know what? I'd rather be thinking about it away from my PC and not while I'm in the middle of another game. You know what I'm saying? Think about it. It's a lot healthier to process your emotions when you're not in the action of doing something else right now, right? Feel sucky about it. Get upset about it. Feel bad about all the teammates that flamed you and just, but like do it away from the PC, even if it's just for a minute. So at least more of those emotions have processed and moved on. And then they're not affecting your next game as much. You know, you're sitting there staring at a screen, or you're doing deathmatch between games or whatever, or you're scrolling YouTube or whatever. Like, it just get away from the computer for a second.
Just kind of just take a deep breath and reset, sort of thing.
You got it. You got it. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, any other questions?
That's it so far.
All right, you want to get in some gameplay here?
All right, let's do it.
What code do you want to start with here? You said some Ryan here? Or Winston?
Yeah, both games were Winston Rhines.
Okay.
The first one...
I'm seeing Paraiso and Oasis.
That was a long one.
Yeah. Which one do you want to look at here?
The top one.
Top one, P and D, your. Okay. Now, why did you choose this one? You said just basically the code that you had for D.Va got reset, and this was just a good game kind of demonstrating.
Yeah, because this is the one where I was playing a lot of Ryan and Winston, and I did way better than I thought. I did start off on the D.Va, as you could, I think.
Yeah, I see that.
At some point I was playing
we'll
D.Va
skip that. So a little bit of Winston, a little bit of D.Va, a little bit of Ryan.
Yeah.
Do you want to look at any of the D.Va, or you just want to focus mostly on the Winston and Ryan?
Just the Winston and Ryan. I was not on the D.Va for very long.
Got it. All right, let's take a look here. So I think if we're talking about making the proper swap here, which we don't want to think about too hard here, but you look at their composition, and maybe you're thinking about their tank, because, hey, Zarya, Winston's good versus Zarya. That is true, right? But I look at the situation here, and I like Winston for more reasons than that. I look at the rest of the enemy composition. I like Winston versus Junkrat all right. I like Winston versus Ana. I like Winston versus Genji. You've got a lot of characters that you can 1v1 quite easily. And I also like the map a lot, right? There's a lot of verticality here that D.Va can definitely utilize too, but Winston can too. So I like the Winston swap, but not because the tank necessarily, but it's because the rest of the enemy composition and the map. So good swap.
Yeah, those were both factors in because
good. I'm glad to hear that.
On this point and point
yeah,
two.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. So basically, the TLDR for Winston is he wants to get onto squishies, preferably without using jump. Okay, so how do you set up your angle, your high ground, your flank, whatever, so that you can get onto that Ana, that Genji, that Junkrat, whatever, Mercy, without using jump? Because Winston is extremely valuable while he has bubble and when he's on a target, right? The difference between Winston and D.Va is that you can play around CC infinitely better while also doing damage. In addition to that, your ability to jump and move quicker than D.Va allows you to set up angles faster. D.Va's much better in tank training. You're much better in setting up. Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you give me 1 minute? I'm sorry. Give me 30 seconds. Apologies.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Apologies. Any questions about Winston? Are we good to go?
Good to go.
All right. Let's take a look here. So I want to see you find a way to get close without using jump. And this is like a great example of like the right spirit, but the bad execution. So you're going to be able to get close to squishies from this position. You see it? Very good.
Yeah.
The problem here is you don't need to use jump. You can walk.
I could have just jumped off that window.
You can jump off, right, exactly. Jump off, land, and then you can walk here, drop. And the reason why you want to conserve jump is why?
To get back out in case they close in.
Exactly. The idea is that you want to conserve as much HP. It's not just about, I need to live. Sometimes it's more than that. Sometimes it's about how much of my HP can I preserve so that my supports don't have to heal me. So that they can damage boost or damage. Right, exactly. And so then you're also able to stay full HP. So on your next bubble, you're immediately ready. You're not, I got to wait for my healing to come back. No, you're ready to go immediately. Bubble, you're in. Bubble, you're in. The perfect optimal goal with Winston is that as soon as the fight starts, when your teammates can shoot them and so on, you are in on their backline or on their DPS or on an angle every single time your bubble is active. That's the optimal goal. Won't always happen, but that's the optimal goal. Now, what's the downside of not using jump to get in? What does jump allow you to do? What's the bonus of jump?
You get that extra landing damage, right?
Yeah, exactly. So you might need to assess the situation and go, is there any threat whatsoever of me dying? In which case, maybe it's okay to use jump, get that extra little bit of burst damage. But if there's any threat, try to avoid using it.
Yeah, I think I tried landing on the Mercy and I just missed time.
That's all right. That's all right. But see, this is pretty good tanking from you in terms of the pressure, because if you look at what tanking looks like, right, it's applying pressure, pulling threats away. So right now, you've forced nade, you've zoned out the Ana, you've zoned out the Zarya or Genji specifically, who may want to be taking space. You forced the Mercy in an awkward, very awkward position, and you're able to preserve your HP. So along that lines, the Junkrat dies. Good. You don't need bubble to do this because there's no real damage. Good. Awkward with your movement, right?
Yeah, like I said, my...
That's okay. That's okay. This is the kind of stuff that's just going to get better with practice, right? There's just not a whole lot there. What you did was the correct move. Taking whatever was close to you. I don't even mind this. You don't quite have bubble yet, so you got to be cautious. But I think with full HP, with the position, yeah, and that's the kind of the challenge you have to ask yourself: is is it worth the risk? Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. You said it was, and I don't think it was a bad idea. Like, you had full HP, you know that she didn't have nade. Maybe just be a little bit more thoughtful around sleep dart there. But I like what we did so far. You just were not very accurate with how you moved. That's the biggest thing, and that's just going to take practice.
That's just a reps thing.
Okay, so you're about to get grabbed.
Yeah.
But we're going to pretend that that's not the case for a second, because we need to practice making these decisions. Where is the short range angle that you can access backline without dying? What would you do with your jump here?
You could go for the Mercy, or you could save it and maybe take the stairs back there.
Right. You could take the stairs back here. You could even jump to the stairs and then walk and then drop. But let's say for a second that you're going to jump the Mercy. What's super good about jumping the Mercy here? Because normally you're like, don't dive the Mercy, jackass. You'll fly away, moron. What's wrong with you, right? But actually jumping the Mercy is optimal. Why?
She's not beaming anybody.
Okay. But it's not about the 1v1. Think about it. What does Winston want? Ignore the targets. What do you want? You want a short range angle, right?
Yep.
So when you jump the Mercy and you fly away, where are you going to be? Or she flies away.
High ground.
High ground? And on an angle. So when Mercy flies away, oh boy, I like this position.
There's an angle on the Ana. There's an angle on the Junkrat.
Yes, Ana, Genji. Junkrat's not back, but he's going to be coming here. So the funny thing is that what you're doing is you're jumping a target, but you're not really thinking about the target, actually. You're actually just jumping this position. If the Mercy wasn't here, I'd still jump here. Right? So for me, this is less about jumping Mercy and more about jumping this position, because it allows you to get on an angle that's very short range. And so if everybody looks at you, that means your team can walk out of the choke for free. That's what Winston does. If nobody looks at you, you murder their backline. That simple. Yeah, and there's no risk, because can they kill you from here?
They'd have to turn around, and you can stall a cart, and then the team can come out and possibly
And the answer is still no. You see, as you're going to get higher in rank, and as they counterpick you higher and harder, maybe not this game, but in other games, you're going to want to jump not just to a good angle, but you're going to jump to a position with cover. And that's exactly what you have right here, right? Exactly what you have right here. So this is fine. Like, they just used Grav Nano Blade, and he died.
I remember they burned all their ultimates in this fight.
He actually died, right? That's crazy. This is a great example of just poor mechanics, okay? So you look at this here, you need to stomp on her head, or you need to zone card and focus on just like controlling card, waiting for your bubble, and then jumping the Ana. Your choice, right? The problem is here is you don't really get...
I tell my teammates, like, get card, I'm gutting this Ana or something.
So you didn't really land on the Ana. You didn't quite have bubble yet. You bubble conservatively because you're scared of sleep dart, but if you just simply waited until you'd had bubble, then this wouldn't be a question. So the idea of what you did, again, was correct. The execution of how you placed your bubble, when you jumped, how you landed, it's just terrible, right? So that just is going to take practice. That's going to take practice. Now, what we're going to do here is when we're done with this session, I'm going to have some mechanical points I want you to practice in games. Okay. It's not just going to be like, practice your mechanics in game. That's dumb. That's not helpful, right? I'm going to see, like, I want you to practice not even positioning for a game. I want you to practice landing on people's freaking heads for a game. I want you to be very specific about how you're placing your bubbles. Think, okay, Ana has sleep dart, so how should I use my bubble? Okay, Junkrat's going to have this, so how, right? That's the kind of mechanical stuff that I'm going to want you to practice deliberately. That being said, in terms of your setup there, and in terms of getting that on and out, it was good. Good strategy. There's the Bastion swap.
Bastion.
Now, here's the question. Is this a good swap from them?
No.
Why?
Because the rest of our comp is good against it.
Right. Moira, doesn't matter. Moira's bad versus Bastion, I will say. But Ashe Mercy, Soldier, dumpsters Bastion. Look at the map, too.
Yeah, we got
Ugly.
better positioning.
Way ugly. Not bad. Tons of verticality, right? Terrible, terrible map for Bastion. So if they were to counterpick you here, what would they counterpick swaps to? Any ideas on any of their characters?
Reaper for teleport, maybe?
Maybe Reaper. Reaper's a little bit better than Bastion. Certainly has more verticality. What about like a Torb?
Yeah, Torb could just place a turret and take care of those
Yeah,
angles.
it's a little better, but still hard versus the hit scan too, right? So like,
Yeah.
this is hard. I would probably say something like a Reaper Diva. I don't think Diva does this well versus Winston since the armor change and since you can do damage through armor. But at least she has some verticality, right? So
Yeah,
like
she
Reaper
could
Diva,
contest that.
I would say like Reaper Diva would probably be the best bet here. But they're too stupid to make those swaps, so we're gonna pop off. Now, are you on a short range angle here?
Yes.
Okay. Where is this fight going to happen?
Probably down by the stairs.
Like here or here?
I think they're going to come through the alley by the stairs here, and then they...
So then I'm going to revisit the question, are you on a short range angle? Do you kind of see what I'm saying?
I'm a little confused.
So, that's okay. Are you, with where the fight's going to happen, short ranged?
Yeah, I think so.
Could you get shorter? Could you get closer to them?
Yeah, if I jump to the other building right there.
Right. And you see now, not only do you have shorter range, but more of an angle compared to your team. You see?
There's
so
more cover.
there's threats here, okay? So I can put, but if you're here, or if you're here, oh man, that's so hard for them to deal with. Do I look at the Winston or do I look here? They have to physically turn around to look at you. That's a big problem. So I don't love your staging. I like the fact that you're on high ground, but I would want you to be closer to those targets with where the fight's going to happen. And that would be here or that would be here. Now, if they try to clear you out, maybe you have to jump away. But for right now, I don't love this. This is too far away for you to be effective. You kind of see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now, it ends up working out because the junk kind of just launches himself at you. But even then, like, look at what you could do from here. Bastion or no Bastion. This is good. And you wouldn't even need to use your jump. You could just be there. Acquire the target. I like that. That's good. Didn't need to use Primal, so just save it, right?
Yep.
I really like your target priority here. Obviously, like, you don't always have to avoid shooting the tank as Winston. Always. But if there's a squishy available, why play patty cake with the Zarya, right? Just take what you're given. Okay, let's see what happens here. I know what you're trying to do.
To try to knock her off the map, yeah.
And I don't hate it. I think if you do that, I think it's probably worth it. Probably worth it. I get it. What I would do here though is if you fail, don't force continual value here. Because do you see this isn't free value? Look what you have to do.
They're all starting to bunch up there.
Yeah. Look at your health. Look at your support. And look at your poor bubble. Right? And now you're in a terrible spot for this fight, right?
Get out of there.
Right. So you messed it up, right? At this point in time, if you fail the play, don't go back in. Just disengage, reset high ground, and wait. Right? Just wait. Just chill. I know Reptire's on the
value.
Yeah. Don't try to force it because you actually give negative value. Because you're basically forcing your supports to hard pocket you. You never got the angle that you wanted to go. And then obviously you messed up your jump again, and so now you're going to die. So that's kind of worst case scenario, right? You were a very inefficient use of your resources. You fed a lot of ult charge. You didn't get the kill. But that's okay. It happens. But if you make a mistake, just amputate. Reset. Set up for the next fight. It's okay. It's all right. It happens. Go next fight, right? Don't sit there and try to force the value out of the play. The ship's sunk, mate. Reset on high ground. This is a very winnable fight still, right? You guys had both hit scan and supports on high ground, but look at what your team's positioning was lost as you messed up your primal. Right here, check this out, right? Oh, no. And so now your Moira has to back up, your Ashe has to back up, your Soldier has to back up, your Mercy has to back up. Right. And it's just because everyone's trying to keep you alive. And so, yeah, this is a big mess. Now, I want to see what happens here. I don't know if there's anything super deep here outside of I got rezzed, I planted bubble, and I shot people. I like this. Good bubble, good shots. Yeah, I mean, this is just mostly mechanics, right? A lot of failed jumps. A lot of failed jumps. But good target priority. And she's going to stagger herself. My goodness gracious. Uh-oh, they went Torbjorn. Oh, wait, no, they went Widow. They don't know who to counterpick, your hit scan or you.
Yeah. I'm saying, I feel like it's just full counter swapping at this point.
Yeah. And yeah. Good stuff for the bubble. I mean, obviously, like, it might mean that you're not ready to stage, but yeah. Again, my main point here is I don't like this. I want you to be here. I want you to be a little bit closer to where they're going to come out. Don't stand inside your backline, right? You want to fight at the same time as your team, but you don't want to be standing on top of your team, all right?
So we're too bunched up, and that's
we're
why
too bunched up.
Grav.
Exactly. That's it. Exactly. Like, that should be a grav that you don't block, but you block indirectly because they get grabbed and you cut her off. You bubble off their backline, or you go trade and kill the Winston. You see, you can't protect your team there. It doesn't. I know that wasn't your intention, but that's ended up what happening. Okay. Now Bastion's a bit better here, I will say. It's a bit flatter, a bit more open, a little less high ground. So you're going to have to ask yourself, where can I set up a short-range angle here that I can get on top of him? And I don't know if there's an answer right now, right? You see how far away everything is? When should you take this fight? When should you take this fight? Think about it.
When the cart gets closer.
You got it. That's right. I like this position from you, but it has to be like once the cart's here, then you kind of go for a drop bubble, you know?
Yeah, I was kind of just waiting for the point where the cover is more helpful.
I think that's a great strat. Heck, if you see the Widow that far away or the Ana that far away, you could. Yeah, this is fine.
You left yourself wide open right
yeah,
there.
see, the thing is even if they turn on you right here, are they going to kill you? Is it possible to kill you here?
The Widow, no.
Anybody on their team.
Maybe the supports could turn around.
Not even, because you know what you have? You're jumping to cover. You see it?
Oh, yeah,
if everybody jumps here, it doesn't matter. You're just going to walk over here, and they're not going to be able to kill you. That's it. And then you get your next jump, get your next bubble. It's over. Like, they look at that. Look at that. They're all turning on you. Like, the Bastion even looks at you and throws it. It doesn't matter. It's over. And see, that's what kills the Bastion, right? Is you split off that backline. They try to peel. Now the tank's isolated. Now the DPS is isolated. And now they all die. That's you doing what your character does best. And not dealing with the threat, you know, the Bastion or whatever, right? You just did what you did your job. Now, I don't like this. Your character ain't good here. No verticality. Oh, this is better. This is better. This is not better because you're standing in the open, right, and getting poked out from long range. But if you get here, what could you do here? Think about it.
There's cover here, and you could potentially jump the backline again.
Yeah. Or you just drop on backline here, right? Like, you know they're going to walk through here, right? Or they're going to walk in through here. So you can just jump, zap. You get low, jump out, no problem. So I just don't like how sometimes you kind of, I don't know if it's the alternate fire or maybe you're a little bit hesitant with your staging. You get caught in these 25-meter scenarios. You get what I'm saying? Where you're tossing some alt fire out and you get your bubble forced and then you end up losing space.
Sort of value,
right. And so you lose space. I mean, it's tragic that there's no bubble zap here, right? Yeah, you'd get cleared out pretty quickly with turret form. You'd probably get cleared out with nade, but man, get their attention quickly because look at what your Ashe could do with 1.5 seconds of their attention. You know?
You force nade, force turret form.
Yeah, exactly. I like how we're diving backline here, but it does feel very scary because do you notice? Well, that's the thing. Do you notice that you had the setup earlier, you lost the setup, and so now you have to jump in? Is there cover here right now?
If I go back to the stairs.
But I don't know if you can make it there with the turret.
No.
You see what I'm saying? So you jumped a target here instead of a position. It's okay to do that sometimes, but man, you got to think in the back of my mind. Like right now, it might be better to just jump where the Widow was, even though there's nobody there.
We're all just screaming Mercy's won here or something.
Yeah, right, of course. And so I think this is okay, an idea, but this is why I would have liked to have been here and stayed here sooner. Because this is going to force your primal here. I like that you didn't force value there. That was so much better than last time. And then, okay, she's low. I hear tactical visor. I go in. You see that? That was so much better than last primal. So much better. Just the fact of your jump reset alone made it worth it. That's unfortunate. I don't know where your team is. Your team should have pushed up there. Elo hell, man. I tell you what.
Yep.
Where should you be? Yep. Get in here. Get the zaps. Could have dropped, bubbled, and zapped here as well. Force the turret, jump out. That's what I want to see, right? Oh. Okay. That works. Okay. Well, I respect the bravery. Scary.
Yep.
I like the angle, though. I love the angle. Look at that short range angle. You didn't even have bubble. But, man, this works. Let's do it again. This is a very important moment. What do you think?
Yeah, I see one guy's coming back from spawn. The rest of my team's up here, so...
It's tough, isn't it?
Yeah.
Should you jump this angle on backline? Or should you jump high ground and wait? And drop?
You should wait with the bash in there and the turret set up in the corner there.
I think so too. I think jump up top and see if you can drop without using your jump, right? So give that extra 2 seconds on your turret. So you're going to jump in, and you're going to get a nice bubble and some nice zaps, but I think you could have played that one not necessarily safer, but more resource efficient, right? Okay, that being said, nice job. Like, overall, did a pretty good job playing around two... about as hard counter as you can get. Tor Bastion are not easy, for sure. Do you want to look at some Ryan, or do you want to keep looking at some Winston?
Do some Ryan, too.
Do some Ryan, too. Let's see if there's any more Winston really fast before we move on. Okay, so main thing with Winston so far, what were your points that you were saying? Winston, what do you got? What needs to be practiced?
The mechanics, just landing the jumps, bubble
mechanics
usage.
with landing jumps accurately. Well, don't say bubble usage. Be more deliberate than that. Be more specific.
Just not using it when you're going after one target when they wasted cooldowns, kind of.
Okay. What about your setups? What about your positioning?
So I could possibly just go in, drop it, and then jump out if they are about to break bubble.
Sure. What about how you set up or stage for fights? What could have been done better?
I'm a little confused on what I'm missing here.
No, that's okay. What did you need to practice with your positioning? I'm thinking about second point, thinking about third point. What were some mistakes with your positions?
Some of those short angles.
Keep looking for short angles. Care standing inside backline and poking with alt fire, right? Just obviously you need to play with where dive and drop where your team can see, but you need to be cautious with that. Okay. Don't force value out of primal. If you screw it up, reset your position, get ready for next bubble, right? That's kind of a good way of looking at it. And I think I would leave it at that. I think with Winston, a lot of your things just needs to be practicing landing accurately, right? Consistently setting up, going on the right targets, and landing accurately. I think that you were trying to do and often succeeding at doing the right things, right? Good dives, good target priority, not wasting a lot of time with tank. Maybe the last thing I would say is be aware of diving positions with cover. Not just always going full N, right? So anytime that they go like full counter comp, right, you need to be really careful about your setups and make sure that you're diving locations with cover so you can live Torbjorn's overload or Bastion's turret. Sound good?
Yeah.
Okay, any questions before we move on here?
Just watch out for the big cooldowns, pretty much.
Yeah. Force those cooldowns, but try to force those cooldowns without dying, right? Either with good staging or playing good cover usage. Any questions?
Not at the moment.
Okay. Rhine swap here. I don't think the Rhine swap is bad. If I look at the composition here, Torb, Cass, I think Rhine's fine versus these. Kiriko Mercy's pretty low damage backline. So yeah, there's a lot of damage from the Cass Torb, but there's no Discord, there's no anti-nade. Obviously the tank matchup is fine for you as well. Now, I don't know if Rhine's optimal here. This is a pretty tricky point for all tanks, but I think Rhine is fine. Ryan is all about getting close to people to threaten to hit them with your hammer and or actually hit them with your hammer. When you have resources, hit them with your hammer. When you don't have resources, don't hit them with your hammer, but make them think that you're going to. That's how you create space, right? That's pretty much all there is to it. Good fire strike. The question with Ryan is not whether you're a threat, but are you being an efficient threat? Because Reinhardt, more so than maybe any other tank, there's a few exceptions, but definitely one of the more resource-heavy tanks. So are you getting the biggest bang for your buck? So, let's look at this Fire Strike right now. Is it bad to Fire Strike right now? No. It's good.
They're
Like you got
grouped up.
three grouped
Sorry,
up
I put up a
targets. You have
bubble
the chance of forcing a bubble. You have the chance of doing a lot of damage. Now you don't actually end up hitting the Castor, but there's a possibility there of getting a lot of damage outdone. Okay. So the problem is not the fact that you're Fire Strike. It's the fact that you took so much damage while you're Fire Strike. So the question is, could you have done that Fire Strike and taken less damage? If so, how?
Yeah, because they deleted all the armor. There's a.
How could
Would
you
it
do
have made more sense if I went through that side room there?
Yeah. So Fire Strike, but do it right here, right here. Now, would you still have taken damage? Yeah. You still have to peek, but you would have reduced your hitbox significantly. And then as soon as the Fire Strike animation ends, you're already ducking behind cover. Heck, you're even preserving your shield HP, right? So that would have cut down on arbitrarily 30% of the damage that you took, 40% of the damage that you took, and still get the Fire Strike out, right? You don't compromise your offensive value at all. You just reduce the amount of damage that you take to go for that Fire Strike. So rule number 1, Fire Strike on cover whenever you possibly can to reduce the amount of damage that you're taking, right?
Just
Now,
use more natural cover.
That's it, right? Natural cover when you swing, natural cover when you Fire Strike. The reason that you do that is not because, you have to play safer and more conservative. It's so that you can keep more HP so that you can keep going aggressive. So the problem with this Fire Strike now is, can you continue to go aggress? No,
No,
you can't.
because at this point my armor's all gone.
Right. So if you had Fire Strike on the corner, would you be able to aggress continually? Maybe throw another Fire Strike? Maybe. Yeah, there's a chance, right? There's a chance.
Yeah.
So just keep that in mind. See, even here, right? Don't push. Why?
Yeah,
Why should you not push
gone.
right now? Shield's gone, right? So if you do push, you're going to die. So I want you to wait for your resources, like a Winston waits for a bubble, and wait to push in afterwards. So the problem here is the fact that if you're on it here, I'm going, oh my goodness gracious, my goodness gracious, right? Like there's so much damage coming in. And the problem is are you getting threat out of that damage? Are you rewarding your team for pocketing you right now?
No, because I'm dying anyway.
Right, you're dying anyway. So if you had to give yourself a very actionable thing to practice here, what's the main principle that we're seeing? What needs to be done better?
Just use the corners more often, maybe
That's
manage the shield a little better.
Manage your aggression around your HP and your CDs, and improve your ability to manage by being better on cover usage with both your Fire Strikes and swings. That's it.
That's the one thing I've noticed on Rhine, is just like a lot of the Rhines I face are like very aggro, and then I feel like when I try to go aggro, stuff
Well,
like this
it's how
happens.
you go aggro. That's the thing. Like, here's the crazy thing here. If this is like, let's say, if this is me on Ryan and I'm feeling a little saucy, I've had a little too much coffee, right? I'm going to pin this Zarya right here. You know why? Because I know that I can pin from cover. This Cassidy won't even see me or hinder me in time. He won't even see me. I'll go, boy, bam, right into the wall, right? I also know that as soon as I pin, what's this Cassidy going to do? He's going to hinder. He's going to fan.
Yeah, he's going to
So I'm going to flash shield, and I'm going to duck where?
back behind the stairs here.
Right here. And so then I've basically taken 0 damage. My shield's taken some damage, but I've basically taken 0 damage. Then I'm going to peek Fire Strike. Then I might go, I'm going to take up top here, throw a Fire Strike, hold shield. I'm still full HP, basically, because I've used cover well. And then I'm going to do something crazy. I'm going to drop and I'm going to pin in this way. He doesn't have hinder anymore. And I'm just going to go right into him. So this is the problem. You look at aggressive Rhine and you go, man, why can't I be like that? But you don't look at how they're aggressing and how disciplined they're aggressing, because everything follows the law of Rhine. Cover, playing around CDs, blocking those CDs, managing your shield and your HP so that you can go aggressive. You kind of see what I'm saying? Because what we just described is, I think objectively more aggressive than what you were doing. But yet I take less damage at the same time. And it has to do with how I'm utilizing cover, how I'm expecting CCs, how I'm setting up. You kind of see what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I think it's great to go aggressive with Reinhardt. It's good. You need to be going aggressive with Reinhardt. The problem is because your cover usage was bad, because your HP management was bad, your shield management was bad. Now you can't go aggressive. You kind of get what I'm saying? So The key with Rhine is to be black and to be white. The key to play Rhine badly is to be gray. Kind of doing there, kind of throwing Fire Strikes, kind of swinging, kind of just... No, you're very aggressive, and then you're not taking damage. And then you're very aggressive, and you're not taking damage. That's how Reinhardt, and often tank, is played. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, let's keep going here. See, this is funny. This is funny. This is almost exactly what we just talked about here. Now, the first problem here is you needed to wait about 2 seconds. Do you see where your team is?
Yeah, they're too far behind.
So let's literally count to 2 here. Let's see if my prediction is right. 13:04, 05, 06, now, right? So if you were doing this pin and starting this pin, not now, but like 1 or 2 seconds from now, I think this play has a much more higher success chance. But you know what? I actually don't hate it because are you playing cover? Yes.
Yes.
Are you full HP? Yes.
Yes.
Are you pinning into the void in the middle of nowhere? No, you're pinning to a wall and you have shield and you have cover. So you know what? That would have worked.
Yeah, except I got hindered.
But see, this is the thing. You got hindered, but it doesn't matter. I mean, it does matter because you would have gotten the kill, but this is panic in the streets right now for them, right? So what should you do right now?
You could start swinging.
You could start swinging or
Fire strike.
Or what's the other cooldown, right? Just shield.
Shield them off.
Just shield. You've just created panic here. So you could just shield. So right here, shield. There it is. Look what you've done in terms of space. Watch the red circles. Watch the red circles. Okay? And then watch the red circles. Ay, ay, ay. And now who's not in a position to follow up on graph? You see that? 1, 2, 3 targets, right? So, and look at your HP too. Look at your shield. Look at your shield. Just enough. Just enough. Now, the question is what can you do? What should you do now?
Find cover because the shield's down.
Find cover, the shield's down. They've got Molten Core. They're popping Kitsune. You need to get out of dodge.
Yeah,
your team... Right. So you're like, oh, but we have an active copy. Doesn't matter. They've just blown 2 and you've got nothing to do. You cannot help. The best thing you could do is stop demanding healing so that your team can pocket your Ana. If you guys could pocket your Ana, this Cassidy dies. This Cassidy dies, right? The problem is that you're going heal me, but you're not giving them anything for that, right? Because you didn't have anything to give, right? You didn't have anything to give. Okay? So I think this was a great start of a fight for you. We're talking about razor thin margin from killing like 2 people by yourself. They had to use an ultimate to stop you. You manage your resources really well early fight. So look at the tank HP difference here. Can you imagine looking at this and asking which team used an ultimate, right? It was them, and they're still massively losing this HP trait. So much so that they have to blow 2 ultimates. That's fine. Just live. Just live, wait, and then go really aggressive. Like right here, sit here, throw a Fire Strike or 2, get that HP shield back, and then do that reverse pin that we talked about. Okay? Okay?
Okay.
That's it. You got a little HP here now to work with. I like that. So yeah, go for the pin. Why not? You have some HP. You also pin to cover as well. So it's about being very cleanly on when you have the resources and when you have your team support, and then very clearly off when you don't. It's that simple. No gray. No gray. Oh, the Bastion swap. What do you think of their swaps? Look at their tank.
Bob the Diva. She's got the verticality advantage.
I think pretty decent swap, right? Pretty decent swap, given the situation here, right? What about that Bastion swap, right? Because they go, you know why they go Bastion? Because Ryan, shoot Ryan. Do you think Bastion's a good swap here?
I mean, he's good for the breaking shield. He's probably a good counter for the Echo on our team. Echo Mercy, maybe.
Give me 1 second, actually. My next session here is here, and they're not... sent you a friend request. Okay. Yeah, I don't think Bastion's good here at all. I think the Diva is a good swap, not versus you, but just versus the situation, right? But the Bastion's a really dumb swap. Like, he obviously, like, he can do some damage to you in turret, but, like, your armor's really good versus him, your pin's really good versus him, your fire stick's really good versus him, your shadow's versus good versus him, and he actually doesn't do all that much damage to you once he's out of turret form. He's pretty bad. And then he ends up killing himself, so that's just beautiful. Yeah, this is with the rule with Ryan is just with this kind of stuff, like this crazy verticality, is just find a way to close the distance and hit people with your hammer, and then play around your resources. So like right now, you can focus card. You could have also gone high ground and played like a Winston. You ready for this one? Hold your nose and dive in. Right? Could you have died for that? Maybe, but like that's also too. Like the only rule with Ryan is you want to find a way to get close. That's why players like LH Cloudy, they take high ground, they take angles, they want to find a way to get close. You don't have to. You can also just send a card. There's turret form. I would have waited just a second before I would have gone for that. I like the idea there, but like right now, I'll pin instead, right?
I don't even know what I was doing there.
That's all right. That's all right. That's all right. Would have gone for the Bastion. I don't know if you saw him getting shattered, but remember the range on your shatter now, right? It's crazy. So this is 100% going to hit that Bastion. So go for the Bastion, right? Go for the Bastion. They also try to use Suzu, which is really funny. Doesn't work anymore. It can make you intangible, so you'll pin right through somebody. But obviously Shatter, you don't have to worry about Suzu as much anymore, which is really, really nice. There's Reinhardt. Just keep swinging. Got full HP? Keep swinging. Go get her. Go up there. Go, 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 go. Is this fine? Yep, good. Keep going. See, if I'm moving 2 times speed, you're doing something right. You're not taking a lot of damage. Just keep going. Even now, like right now, it's like obviously you got to be careful. But I think like you could just walk. Keep going. Keep going. Keep swinging. Keep swinging. It's fine. I think you could have killed that diva before she remac'd, but that's fine. You've played well so far here. They've really struggled to put damage on you, and you've really punished them for it. So, okay. I mean, you could.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. Well, even if she wasn't, like the thing, like my biggest concern, and this is kind of what was happening on first point, is I don't know if your team is fighting right now, right? It's not that your team can follow up off of this. It's can your team follow up on anything? Can they even shoot the diva? Like I don't know. Like I would probably wait until cards like here or here before I go for something like this, right? But you have full HP. You're gonna pin kind of to a spot with cover. There's no real CD to stop you here, so I mean, yeah, sure. I mean, here, even where you pin actually is like where your team can see you. So like, you know, you got resources. So yeah, I mean, keep going, keep going. Throw that fire strike out. Pin again. Go get her. Go get her. Do it. 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 Right? Because you have resources. You notice that? Like that's the thing is you have resources. This is when you can go aggressive. This is not only when you can, but you should. Go get her. So here I think you're actually being, I hate to use this term, but being too passive because you had resources, you had HP, you had your team support. I mean, even look at the card, right? We can see you now, and you're playing a little bit too hesitantly. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Finishing. Okay, so they finally messaged me. 1 second. Okay, apologies. You mind we run a few minutes late? I kind of want to give you, I kind of want to finish this out if you're okay with it. Alrighty here. This is fine. There's nothing to swing on. Now, you might ask yourself, will somebody take this high ground? But this is fine too. Yep. Good stuff. Easy peasy. Shatter is really not that complicated. Shatter the first thing you see. As long as there's not like a Lifeweaver pull or an Orisa Fortify, right, to deny it, just shatter. 1 kill's good enough. Forcing a bunch of... Yeah. I hate that so much. I hate that so much. Yeah, this is good. You have HP. Keep swinging. 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 A little bit panicky with the fire strikes, so just like a little bit messy, you know. But that was a good one. I say that. See, I need to insult your fire strikes more, so you just nail the next one. That's the strategy. I really want to see that diva dead, man. Like that's the second time that diva needs to die because you can walk on her, swing, shield, swing again. She's dead. This is when Ryan's really fun. You're just like, man, nobody's paying any attention to me, so yeah, nice shatter. Good stuff. Hold shield. A little slow with the shield, but I think you guys cap.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, you guys cap. Okay, so rule of the Rhine. What needs to be done with Reinhardt? Reinhardt. What needs to be practiced with Reinhardt?
Using that cover, so when I lose my shield, I'm
being
not sitting out in the open.
Disciplined with cover when pinning and fire striking and swinging too. So for this review, we talked more about when you're pinning to a location, thinking about cover, or when you're fire striking, thinking about cover. But obviously, it's just globally important, but especially for what we're talking about here, okay? What about your resource management?
Just maybe use the shield for, like, heavier burst of damage so I can use it when I come out of the cover.
Take action. When you don't. When you have HP or shield, take action. When you don't. Okay? That's like really important, right? Be very clear about I'm going to be decisively pressuring on whatever, taking a space, or I'm not. That's what you want to be doing. You don't want to be a leech of your support's resources without providing anything in return. I think first point was a really good example of that. Anything else come to mind? Maybe some fire strike accuracy work?
Yeah.
Specifically, slowing down, being more deliberate. It is incredible to me how I've coached bronze Reinhardts, and I'd say, hey, slow it down. I want to see good fire strikes. I've live coached them, right? And all of a sudden, they start to look like LH Cloudy. I don't know I think it's just because the cooldown feels a bit spammy and a bit RNG. People just don't put thought into it, right? And I'm like, no. You aim it. Think about where they're going to go. Where's the perfect spot, right? Put that much effort into it, and you're going to be rewarded. Okay. Do you have any questions?
So with Ryan, I know he's good in like those real heavy brawl comps. So if I have like a Lucio or a Juno, can you be a little more aggressive with the resource management?
I mean, because of speed, you're less likely to take damage while closing the distance, but the rules don't change, right? You're still playing around your HP and you're playing around your shield. It's just you will have fewer issues doing that, most likely.
Yeah, because like that game especially, I didn't have either of those heroes, and I know like on like you see it a lot on like control maps, like they bring a Lucio, they just zip around, that sort of thing.
Yep.
I've noticed that's where all that the aggression I see from like enemy Reinhardts comes from. They always have like a Lucio zipping them around, or now with Juno and they pop the speed ring, Ryan comes in, he charges, he pins someone in my back line.
Right. It just means that you don't because it happens faster, there's less damage taken in the process. The gray period is when you're pinning in or walking forward and not actually doing damage. And so the speed just cuts down on how long that gray period lasts. Any other questions?
That's it.
Okay. Have a wonderful rest of